In this video, I'm going to give you a brief high-level overview of what a function is. I'm going to be using terminology such as function, parameters, and arguments throughout the course. I want to make sure you understand what I mean when I use those terms. I'm going to be talking about the print function and the arguments that it takes to perform the output to the console. You can see that I have one line of code here, and it is the print function that we use from the previous video to output hello world to the console. Inside an interactive development environment such as Visual Studio Code, when we hover over certain parts of the code, it'll give us more information. So if I hover over the name print here, Visual Studio Code will tell us that it's a function, and then inside the parentheses after the name, it tells us what parameters the function takes, and then after the end of the parentheses, it's got a little arrow, and it tells us what the return type is, if there is one. In this case, this function does not return anything, so it is none. Now, these are the list of the function's parameters: values, separator, end, file, and flush. The values that we pass in are arguments. So here, hello world is the argument for print's values parameter. Now this little asterisk says to the left of values means that it takes a variable number of values. As long as I separate them by a comma, I can put as many as I want in. So if I did 1, 3, 4, run that, we'll get the output hello world 134. Now the other arguments that the print function has are separator, end, file, and flush. Now separator is shortened to SEP. And if you don't pass a value in, it defaults to just being a space, and that is what it gets put in between each of these values here. So if I were to change this to be SEP equals, and then in quotes put a dash, and run this again, now we can see that hello world 134 is separated by a dash. The end parameter is done in a similar fashion where you would put a comma and then end equals. And you could put whatever you want here. I could put some exclamation points and run this. And now it's going to append whatever this string is to the end of the last value here. So down here, we can see we have hello world 134 and then some exclamation points. Now it is important that if you do change the end, that you should probably go ahead and use the new line character, because what happens if you don't is if I were to do another print statement down here, and run this, it's going to put this all on the same line because there's not a new line character at the end of the previous line. So down here we have hello world 134 and our exclamation points and goodbye all on the same line. But if I added that escape character, which we will talk about more later, it goes to 2 separate lines like it should. That's all I had for this video. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that if I say function, I'm talking about the name that we're calling, and if I say arguments, I'm talking about the values that we pass into the function.